So what's on tap for today? We've got another great reaction video. It's one of our favorite senators, Marsha Blackburn of Tennessee, questioning Judge Ketanji Brown, asking her just a simple question. Judge, can you define for me what is a woman? And the fireworks start right from there. So we're going to get right into that. But if you haven't already done so, it's your first time here, we welcome you to the Dr. Nasir Sheikh Show. I'm your host. My name is Dr. Sheikh. If you haven't already done so, subscribe to the channel. We'd love for you to do that. Hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. Let's get to the video, the reaction video, right now.
Interpreted. I need to read the whole thing.
Okay. Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No,
Yeah.
I can't.
You can't?
Not in this context.
So
I'm not a
the
biologist.
meaning of the word woman is so unclear and controversial that you can't give me a definition?
Senator, in my work as a judge, what I do is I address disputes. If there's a dispute about a definition, people make arguments, and I look at the law and I decide.
So if somebody did come before you and they're making a case and they're asking you to decide the definition of what a woman is, what would your answer be? This is a clear-cut question, Judge. Oh, I'm not a biologist. Can't answer that question. These people are so freaking woke, they can't even answer a simple question. Because they don't want to. They know what the answer is, folks. She knows what the answer is to this. She doesn't want to do it because she doesn't want to hear from the left, from the progressives, from the mainstream media, from the alphabet networks. Oh, how dare you define what a woman means? Don't you know you just fell into their trap? Now that you defined it, we can't go back because you defined it for them. Let's keep it nebulous. Let's keep it, oh, you know what? We have no idea what it's for. We want women's rights, but we don't know what a woman is. So how do we assign rights to it? Just retarded. It's just so stupid, folks.
No, I'm not.
The fact that you can't give me a straight answer about something as fundamental as what a woman is underscores the dangers of the kind of progressive education that we are hearing about. Just last week, an entire generation of young girls watched as our taxpayer-funded institutions permitted a biological man to compete and beat a biological woman in the NCAA swimming championships. What message do you think this sends to girls who aspire to compete and win in sports at the highest levels?
I'll tell you what that message sends. Girls, women, you're screwed. Big time. That's what it is. It's over. Done with. Get out of the way. There's a new boy in town. That's right. That's exactly the message it sends to girls, that when you allow biological men to compete in sports in which they are far superior to them in every single aspect, anatomical, physical, mental, in strength, in endurance, lung capacity, muscle capacity, physical stature. The message that you're sending to women is, girls, it's over. Step aside. The men are going to have it in both divisions. They're going to be playing in the men's division, and the men are going to be coming over and be playing in the girls' division.
Senator, I'm not sure what message that sends. If you're asking me about the legal issues related to it, those are topics that are being hotly discussed, as you say, and could come to the court. So I'm not able to.
I think it tells our girls that their voices don't matter. I think it tells them that they're second-class citizens, and parents want to have a Supreme Court justice who is committed to preserving parental autonomy and protecting our nation's children. So let's move on. I want to go to the child porn issue, and I know that We've discussed this today on several different times. What's troublesome to me is your consistent pattern of sentencing these predators below the sentences recommended by the government and the sentencing guidelines. And Senator Cruz, Senator Hawley have laid out some of these disparities. I know Senator Blumenthal mentioned the Kids Online Safety Act that he and I are working on. You have talked about how horrifying it was to get some of that information. As we have held these hearings, that too has been horrifying. We've had moms from all over the country call us and tell us their story of how these pedophiles, these child abusers, these...
I just have to stop it right here. That's the problem that's happening in the justice system, folks. You have people like these progressives, these moderates like Ketanji Brown Jackson and her acolytes. And what they do is they give a damn more. They consider the rights of the people that have perpetrated the crimes, and they want to give them every benefit of the doubt. They want to go ahead and give them every conceivable avenue of, saying that they're remorseful. They want to basically give them every single bit of leniency that they can squeeze out of the justice system so that they can give them a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth chance. But they don't give a damn. They don't give a damn about what? They don't give a darn about the victims. Not at all. That's what these progressive activist judges are doing. That's exactly what Marsha is talking about. That's exactly the questions Senator Cruz was asking. That's exactly the questions that Senator Hawley was asking, that they're giving less than what's required in terms of jail time sentences to these pedophiles, to these people that prey on innocent young children, both girls and boys. And they should be ashamed of themselves, but they're not. They think they're progressive. They think they're woke. They think they're doing something for the betterment of society. But the thing is that it hasn't affected them personally. So they don't know what it feels like when a mom or a father or a parent comes before them and says that this has happened to my child, to my daughter, to my son, to my grandson, to my granddaughter. They have no clue. They don't understand. They don't empathize at all. Their empathy doesn't lie with the victim. It lies with the person that perpetrated the crime, the criminal. That should be criminal, folks. That should be criminal.
Pornographers are using technology, and that technology has really advanced. And unfortunately, we know that online right now, it is more dangerous for kids than ever. Here's a couple of stats for you. In 21, NCMEC's cyber tip line received nearly 30 million reports of online child sexual abuse material, which is a 35% increase over 2020. Those 30 million tips contained 44.8 million videos and 39.9 million images. And as a mom and a grandmom, this is an issue of tremendous concern. I have grandsons that are 12 and 13 years old. And these are things that concern me, how these people work. I find the discussion that you made, the distinction you made between pedophiles who produce child pornography and those who are only collectors to be one without a difference. You said, and I'm quoting you, that it was a mistake to assume that child pornography offenders are pedophiles. Do you believe that it matters to the children and their parents who suffer abuse what motivation those abusers had?
Thank you, Senator. As you said, and as I've said, these cases are among the most difficult
They are.
for judges who have to deal with the evidence, judges who, like me, are
My
parents.
question, Judge, do you think it matters to the kids and their parents? The
Answer the
motives
question.
of the
That's all they want.
abuser,
Just answer the question.
of the pornographer.
Senator, it does not matter
Okay.
to the victims in these cases what the motivation is. The quote, I'm not exactly sure where it came from. I know that what Senator Cruz showed me before was questions that I was asking in the context of a hearing to.
Okay, well, I've got some serious concerns about that. I do want to go to your judicial philosophy and back to the Ninth Amendment. President Biden said he was looking for a judicial nominee with a judicial philosophy that is more of one that suggests that there are unenumerated rights in the Constitution and all the amendments mean something, including the Ninth Amendment. You told Senator Lee that you didn't discuss this statement with President Biden, but I want to know whether you agree with it. Do you share the judicial philosophy that President Biden is looking for? And Senator Kennedy tried to walk through some of this with you. Do you believe that the Ninth Amendment is a source of unenumerated rights?
Senator, the Supreme Court has not found any unenumerated rights that derive from the Ninth Amendment. And so that's not the precedent of the court. And there aren't any rights that have been established under that provision of the Constitution.
Okay, White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain has written that the Supreme Court should intervene whenever the nation's conscience and laws need a jolt in a progressive direction. Presumably, that is what he and his boss, President Biden, expect a justice to do. So do you believe that the role of the court is to intervene whenever we need a jolt in a progressive direction? And would you do that through the unenumerated rights? Would you do it on issues like abortion or any other issue?
Senator, the role of a judge is to decide cases and controversies based on the facts and the law, mindful of their obligation to rule impartially.
She's lying through her freaking teeth, folks. She's absolutely lying right now. She knows that she can't answer the question truthfully, so she's just obfuscating, and she's just basically saying exactly what everybody, what she needs to say, what everybody needs to hear. But inside, she is exactly what Joe Biden says. And in terms of unenumerated rights, oh, come on, folks. She's a poster child for that.
Partially and to remain in consideration of only the law and their constraints under the Constitution.
Okay. A lot of special interest groups have come out in support of your nomination. One of those is Demand Justice, and they are a progressive dark money group that has launched a $1 million ad buy to push for your confirmation. Demand Justice is also pushing for radical changes to the structure of our country and our Constitution, including a demand that Democrats pack the Supreme Court. One of Demand Justice's board members has urged Senate Democrats to add 10 more justices to the court. It's clear that Demand Justice believes that if the issue of court packing were to come before you on the Supreme Court, you would rule in their favor. Are they wrong to believe that you would rule in their favor?
Senator, it's very unlikely that the issue of court packing would come before the Supreme Court. That question is in the province of Congress. It's a political question.
Okay. Let's see. I want to follow up.
In other words, basically, that if it did come before the courts, then my answer would be absolutely. let's pack the court so that the progressives and the Democrats and the moderates have, you know, the entire power of the court on the progressive side. We all know the answer to that.
Up on this Make the Road New York issue that has come up a couple of times today. Congress granted DHS sole and unreviewable discretion to determine which illegal immigrants should be deported. This means DHS's decision was unreviewable by a federal judge, and any attempt to challenge DHS's decision should have been dismissed by the court. And yet, you did the very opposite. You didn't dismiss it. You inexplicably construed the law to permit a judicial challenge to DHS's immigration decision, despite the plain language of the statute. The D.C. Circuit, where you sit, reversed you. It noted that it could hardly imagine a more definitive expression of congressional intent than the one in the law at issue. And it questioned how you could have come to any other conclusion based on the text of the statute. So I'd like to know what was ambiguous about the immigration law that we enacted. And we explicitly stated that DHS's decision was unreviewable. What more could we possibly have said or have made clear that you were not authorized to review DHS's decision?
Before she answers that question, I'll tell you a reason why, folks. Because she thinks she's above the law. She thinks she's an activist judge. She thinks that that law was unconstitutional. That's not for her to decide at this point. She decided to go out on her own, rewrite the law. That's not what she's supposed to do. She's supposed to follow the letter of the law exactly the way that was written by Congress. She doesn't want to do that because she thinks she's above all that. That's the reason.
Thank you, Senator. When
Senator
Congress strips the court of jurisdiction, Congress, in many cases, does so explicitly. It says something other than sole and unreviewable. It says things like, no court shall hear, there's no jurisdiction to consider. There are ways that Congress clarifies that judges have no authority or no jurisdiction to hear a particular case. The DC Circuit considered jurisdiction with respect to this statute and this dispute and determined that the court did have jurisdiction. And the question was whether there was a cause of action to proceed. What I determined in looking at the statutes at issue in this particular case is that sole and unreviewable meant that DHS had the sole power to make a decision about.
Not to interrupt you, my time is going to run out, and I want to be respectful of getting you out of here tonight. But we were clear in what we said on that, and I heard your explanation on that earlier today. That's why I wanted to come back to it tonight, because this is the kind of judicial activism that really concerns Tennesseans. These issues that I've been through with you today, the statements that I gave back to you last night in my opening, things that you had said, decisions that you had made, these cause concern. So we'll take up a little bit more of it tomorrow. Thank you for your graciousness, Mr.
It's these activist judges from the Democratic side. These are not originalists. They want to change it. They want to tweak it. They want to take stuff out. They want to put stuff back in. If they don't like a certain amendment, they don't like a certain law, they want to go ahead and just rewrite it from the bench. They want to legislate from the bench. They're not legislators. They're judges. They're justices. The law is there. It tells them exactly what they need to do. They need to read it and they need to follow it. But they don't want to do that. They don't like what it's written. hey, you know what? Let's rewrite the law. Let's change it. I think my opinion's better than this. That's not the way it's done, folks. But that's what judges like Ketanji Jackson Brown and so many of her ilk and acolytes out there, that's exactly what they try to do. And they're not trying to do it, they are doing it. It is happening every single day. We see it all the time from the different circuit, just the judicial branches around the country that have just gone off the deep end. They're so far progressive, so far to the left that it's you take a look and you go, how could somebody even rule this way? That's because they're so woke, they're so leftist, they want to become so progressive, going so moderate. It's just absolutely unbelievable. And it's hurting people because, like I said, is they always go in the direction of they never give weight or empathy, or they never give the advantage or the benefit of the doubt to the victim involved. It's always to the perpetrator of the crime. What are their rights? What can we do to make it better for them? That's basically what's going on here. That's why we see these laws that we look at and we go, a pedophile gets 3 months in jail because they had, millions of images on their computer. And the judge goes, well, you know what? The reason that I couldn't give him the maximum is because the law was sort of written at a time when it was basically like images that you get through the mail. So now, because the computer wasn't actually written into the law, I couldn't basically bump him up to the fact that he had millions of images on there, because if it was just in the mail, he wouldn't have had that many images. So I can't give him the maximum because the law wasn't written for that yet. They've got discretion to make decisions based on that this is the way that the thing happened, that this is the new way that this is progressed. The person now has gone from getting stuff in for snail mail, and they basically gone to the computer, and whether it was written that way or not, tough. They still had possession of the material, and the discretion could have been that they could have done that, but no. Let's not think of it in those regards. Let's give the benefit of the doubt to the person who was collecting this pornographic material of underage children. Forget about the victims. Oh, who gives a crap about the victims? You know what? We got to learn the rights of the person, all right, who's perpetrating the crimes here. That's what people are like Ketanji Brown Jackson. Anyways, we certainly appreciate you taking the time to watch our reaction video. You've been watching the Dr. Nasir Sheikh Show. I've been your host today. My name is Dr. Sheikh, and if you haven't already done so, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. And I'll leave you with my final thought, folks, and that is, when you're right, you're right, and when you're left, you're wrong. We'll see you again next time, folks. Take care and stay safe.